Hey everybody! Today we're going to talk about states of consciousness. Um, but consciousness, it's basically having being having sensations and perceptions, having self awareness of events like internally as far as like thoughts, feelings, and memories. That encompasses consciousness, and the main thing we're going to talk about today with consciousness is the sleep cycle. I'll get to that here in just a second. One thing I want to mention before that is hypnosis, and that's an altered state of consciousness where your attention is very narrowed and you're very suggestible to things. Some people say hypnosis is a crock, that it's not real. It actually can be real, and it actually can help with certain things. It actually came from Franz Mesmer. He was Austrian. So when you hear the term mesmerize, that's where it comes from. Is Hans Mesmer. Mesmer. Um, the term hypnosis was coined by English surgeon James Braid. Um, but when it comes to hypnosis, one thing that it has shown that it can be effective with is that it can actually help whenever it comes to, excuse me. Okay. It can be very effective with pain relief. For somebody that doesn't want to take drugs, if they don't want to take painkillers, sometimes they might try hypnosis, and it's actually been proven that it does help with pain. That it actually can be effective. So. The thing with hypnosis is you have to be open to it. You can't be resistant to it. If you're resistant to it, it's not going to work. But if you are open to the idea of it, then it can definitely work. It doesn't work for everybody, but it's something to keep in mind. But I'm going to talk about the sleep cycle now. With the sleep cycle, we have our circadian rhythm, and those are biological changes over the course of 24 hours. So it can be behavioral, physical, or mental. But it follows the daily cycle of 24 hours. And one of the big things with that is sleep. And, there are multiple stages of sleep. The first stage is stage one. It's a very light sleep. We have irregular brainwave patterns, and we have different bursts of activities called sleep spindles. We have that during stage one of sleep. Actually, I take that back. Stage one is the first part. I was correct, but I was looking at my notes wrong. Stage two is where you have the sleep spindles, where you have bursts of activities. Then you have the third stage of sleep, where you have delta waves, which is where you get into deeper sleep. You have larger brain waves, slower brain waves moving through. Then you have stage four, which is your deep sleep. So it's the deepest form of normal sleep. So like sometimes whenever you are like suddenly woken up and you're kind of disoriented, that means you were woken up when you were in stage four, when you were in the deep sleep. Sometimes you get woken up and you're really alert and you're aware of your surroundings, and that means you were probably in stage one or maybe stage two. But if you wake up and you're very startled and kind of not really sure what's going on, where you're at, what you're doing, you were definitely in stage four. And after stage four, you have that's where you'll start dreaming. It's called REM sleep or REM sleep. Stands for rapid eye movement. And that happens between stages four and stage one. That's where you'll dream. So, and like whenever during that point, the reason they call it REM is because literally your eyes will be shut. I mean, because you're sleeping, obviously, but your eyes will be moving back and forth really, really fast. Like if you watch somebody sleep for a while, eventually you'll see that. You'll see their eyes move back and forth like that. But that's where dreams occur. And with REM sleep, it helps us with fatigue. Um, and it helps bring a fresh start for the next day. And some people say, and it depends on who you ask, but some people say we can go through the sleep state, the entire sleep cycle. Maybe we go through REM sleep, maybe 4, 5, 6 times a night. So, but usually it's very short. It's not a very long period of time. I think, let me double check. I want to double check this just to make sure. I want to say it's 20 minutes. Eh, 10 minutes. So usually 10 minutes can last up maybe up to 20, but it's not very, it doesn't last very long, but that's where you dream, and that actually helps your body with fatigue when you go to cycle through that cycle multiple times. And when it comes to dreams, it's interesting because there's a lot of different thoughts on this, as far as why we dream the way we dream. There's some people that say that we dream based on like some of the last things we were thinking of before we go to sleep. Like if we're laying there and it's taking us a little while to go to sleep, that we're most likely to dream about the different things we were thinking about. There are other people who say that whenever it comes to dreams, we are most likely, our body just randomly, or our brain just randomly selects things, and just randomly puts things together to form a story. Which I can see both of those, because sometimes whenever I'm thinking about something before I go to sleep, I dream about it. Which I don't remember my dreams. I wish I did. I don't remember them very often. The only dream I ever always remember is when Michael Myers from the Halloween movies is trying to kill me. Other than that, I don't remember. Makes me kind of mad. That's the only consistent type of dream that I remember. But at the same time, I can also see it just being a bunch of random thoughts pulled together and forming a storyline, because there are some dreams where I'm like, that made no sense. Why did I dream about that? So I can see both of those theories. Sigmund Freud, he said dreams were all about sex, which he basically said everything was all about sex. But he said that depending on what you dream about, like, if you dream about an oven, he said that's, a woman's vagina. If you dream about like an umbrella or a stick or something, that's a man's penis. Like, he literally would say these things, would make these things up. And like I said before, he was on cocaine for a big part of his life, so that's probably when he came up with these theories. Why he thought these theories, I should say. He's long since gone. Why he thought these theories were actually credible, but for Freud it was all about sex. Dreams were a euphemism for sex. Now I want to go through a few sleep disorders really quickly. We have insomnia, which is where you just have trouble sleeping. You have trouble falling asleep and also trouble staying asleep. And I know somebody like this for like the last month. They've been terrible with their sleep. Like, literally they'll lay there and lay there and lay there, and they just cannot fall asleep. And if they do, it's a very short period of time, or it's a very unrestful sleep. So I've known people like that. Unfortunately, when it comes to insomnia and people taking things like Ambien, it has a negative effect on you, because it actually a lot of times decreases the amount of REM sleep you have. So it decreases that amount of that dream, or the portion of your sleep cycle where you dream and where your body recovers from fatigue. It also can include Ambien. Some of the side effects also include amnesia, impaired judgment. I've known somebody on it. Whenever they take an Ambien, literally they would get in their car and drive to Walmart, and then they would wake up. Like, literally they were driving asleep. Like, they were awake but they were asleep. Like, and then they wake up because they would open up the freezer section in Walmart, and then they would officially wake up because of how cold the air came out. Like, they went there to get ice cream. So at that point, they said I always made sure that I had some kind of sweet in the house whenever I ever take it, because I'm not getting on the road again. So it can even make you drive in your sleep. Like, it's some serious stuff. And the U.S. spends over $1 billion a year on sleeping pills like Nytol, Sleepy, Somanex. And what's funny about those things, because Ambien is a very serious prescription drug, but these other ones I just mentioned, these sleeping pills, they're not really that effective. So like the U.S. spends over $1 billion a year on these things, but they're not effective. Whereas Ambien, it's effective, but it also has some very negative side effects, as I just told you. Then there's narcolepsy, and with this, I just want to clear up something. With narcolepsy, that's when people do fall asleep. It's defined as a sudden, irresistible sleep attack. It can last anywhere from a few minutes to a half hour. It can happen while you're talking, standing, or even driving. That's why with people with consistent and diagnosed narcolepsy, it's advised for them not to drive. Usually emotional excitement like laughter triggers the narcolepsy. And so, but what's the thing I want to clarify about it is the fact that it's not necessarily just sudden, because people with narcolepsy, they can feel it coming on. Like, it doesn't just go snap and they're asleep. To us, it might seem like that, but they can feel it slowly coming on, and then once it finally takes over, then yes, it's a quick effect. Like, it just kind of happens. But they can feel it coming on. It's not just one of those things where it only where it just pops up all of a sudden. It builds up and then it takes over. So there's that. There's also sleep apnea, where you stop breathing in your sleep, and that can last from anywhere from 20 seconds to 2 minutes. It's something that's very serious. As the need for oxygen increases, the person wakes up and gulps air, then goes back to sleep and stops breathing again. Apologize for that. I actually had sleep apnea myself. I did a home sleep study, where they had some wires connected to me and to study my sleep patterns, and it was found that I stopped breathing 53 times within an hour. Like, every hour when I was asleep, I stopped breathing at least 53 times. I don't think they ever told me for the length of time, but like I said, it can be anywhere from 20 seconds to 2 minutes. So sleep apnea is something that's very scary to deal with. A lot of people have CPAP machines. Some adults have their tonsils removed, which I've always heard is terrible as an adult, to try to open up their airway more to try to help with the sleep apnea. Then there's also a night terror, and that's a state of panic when you're not in REM sleep. So you're not in the dream stage, you're in non-REM sleep. You have hallucinations, and it lasts for 15 to 20 minutes, and you only vaguely remember it afterwards. And my niece went through these a few years ago, and watching the video, it looks like she's awake, like she's has her eyes open, she's talking to them, she's freaking the hell out over something. I don't know what it was. But it looked like she was awake, but she was asleep the whole time. Like, she's hallucinating, and like I said, it lasts anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. And then she'd actually, she would lay back down, and then she'd wake up and she wouldn't remember it. So that's what a night terror is. You wake up panicked. Well, you wake up panicked. You don't really wake up, even though it seems like you're awake. So you should, if you go to YouTube and do night terror, you could probably find a decent clip of it. But that's all for this chapter. I'll talk to you guys later.